Good morning. We are in the most intensified shift that ever happened. It is the shift into the greater dimensions. And as the shift happens, you've got to realize that everything in your life is shifting. And if you try to cling on to anything now, it's just impossible. This is a whole new life. It's a whole new beginning for all of us. And today I want to talk about telepathy because I'm often asked about it. Now, first of all, you cannot access, because of the fall of Atlantis and into the density that we fell in the 3D, the higher abilities were shut down. And it was mainly shut down because our upper chakras were shut down. In Atlantis, we had 12 chakras open, and then with the fall, we could only operate on 7. And this goes with the spine. We also forgot the power of a spine as a transmitter as well. So this all works together. I won't go into all of that because this is not what this video is all about. But I'm just saying that everything synchronizes and works as one. And I teach that in my courses, and I also work with it in my higher cosmic transmitters that I'm doing now, transmitting a lot, which I haven't done before in that scale. But also it is something that is a whole science in itself. And a science not like people think of science, but also the science of the soul. As we awaken more and more, and as I do my soul readings and I work with the higher realms more, I realize that we've forgotten that the soul is a total entity on its own. It's got the most amazing abilities that you can think of, and gifts and talents that is far greater than anything that we can conjure up as humankind. And it's good to remember that, because it also goes with the power of love. It is all wonderful to have your third eye open and all the abilities, but if your heart is closed, then it's a different dimension. It's a lower dimension. Then you cannot access the higher powers of the heart-soul connection, because the soul is directly attached to the heart. So if you want to ask me about telepathy, then the first thing I would ask you, is your heart center wide open? It is so important at the moment that we understand that. Yes, you can access telepathy through the mind, but it is a lower form of telepathy. It's in a lower frequency. Because the third eye, the throat and the heart, with your higher upper chakras and your spine, work as a transmitter channel. And that is the 33 octaves that are there in your spine as well of sound. So even though you think that telepathy is not working with the power of sound, it does work with the power of sound, because it all is one interconnected energy. Your soul is energy. You only take on a physical form during an incarnation on Earth, or wherever you are incarnated in other galaxies or star systems or constellations. And it also depends on what dimensional frequency they operate in, because the higher you are evolved, the less dense a body you have. You have the totally light body, which our naked eyes cannot see, but our third eye can tune in. Now, with me, the third eye awakening came like a bang. That is when my whole life sort of like caved in. And my journeys are recorded in my books, which you can read. But it was a high opening of everything. And I don't suggest that that happens to you, because it needs to be a tempered journey. But most of us now are so glued up on our electronic devices, which are jamming devices. So if you want to really develop your telepathy, the first thing is switch off those devices. They do jar your energy fields, whether you like it or not. Those electronic things do get into your energy fields, and that is why it's a very good thing to actually shield yourself from it. And there are actually means and ways of doing it, with crystals and also with certain symbols, which I won't go into here as well. But the first thing is that if you are in nature, then you will realize that all animals, trees and everything have got senses. And those senses are actually what is censoring you even as you come into their energy fields. The more sensitive you become to this, the more you will realize that everything is a living being and all are actually have the telepathic abilities. You can communicate with trees, you can communicate with plants, you can communicate with rocks, you can communicate with any living being on this planet. And also you must remember that rocks record energy and they record history. People are not aware that rocks are living beings, but they are. And not only that, but the earth is a living being. And you can communicate with the earth, you can communicate with the intergalactics, you can communicate with any link. The intergalactics do not use language. It's primitive. It was given to us when the earth fell into the third dimension and when our telepathic and third eye abilities shut down. I have found that animals are immensely psychic, immensely able to read your energy fields and to communicate telepathically with you. But first they read your heart center. They can read you like no human beings done. And it's an ability that humankind has always had. I remember my father telling me that the old Zulus, I mean now the Zulus, they still have it today, but not all of them have it because they also lost their touch with nature. But he said that the ancient Zulus could actually read you like a book, and they would always give you a name that fitted your soul perfectly. So that means that in a lot of ways, we have lost that ability. But the closer to nature you actually are, the more your telepathic abilities come naturally. Because you are naturally part of the earth, your embodiment is. And you have a body elemental that actually helps you to keep your body healthy. And we can call on that elemental anytime. And it's the same like fairies and gnomes. They all are living beings. Like the mer people in the oceans. We just lost the ability to see them and the ability to move into that being in a greater extent. I have found that when your heart center is open, it's absolutely a beautiful white with a touch of pink and a touch of gold. And the animals, if you can and work directly with the heart center of the animals, a two-way communication opens in the highest degree. And this is the beauty of all that is happening now, in whatever form or way that is happening. It brings in an instant deep respect between the souls concerned. Because as I said, the animals read you, and you read the animals then through their heart center, through the energy that they emit. I have found that when I then transfer my thoughts, they will immediately pick it through the heart center and then communicate back. That doesn't mean that they don't use their psychic abilities, which animals have in an immense sense, but it also means that they trust you with the information that they transmit. And you transmit it back to them. Because you are energy and they are energy. And it's a matter of exchange of energy. And there you've got to trust whatever information you intuitively and through your mind actually pick up. Some people will get the information in pictures. Some will get it in a hearing. It's like in a voice in your head. Or some of you will just know that message. And the same is when you transfer the message, when you communicate back, you put it in energy form where your heart and soul talks to the animal soul. Because the souls of animals have souls just like you do. It is a natural ability. And the more that you move into silence and stillness in nature and really listen, with your heart and your soul and all of your being, the more the abilities naturally unfold, because they are now opening up as we go into the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensional state. It is a gift that's given to us. Just like we can communicate with the intergalactics now, and they communicate with us. But they also read your intent, and they read your whole energy systems. You automatically do that. If you come into a room, you will automatically scan that room for your whole telepathic abilities and know exactly what's going on in that room. I've always had that ability. But we often ignore it because we ignore what we call our sixth sense. But when we ignore our sixth sense, we get ourselves into trouble. The same is that if all these abilities awaken, your sixth sense, your inner intuitive knowing, that deep inner knowing, plus your psychic abilities, plus your telepathic abilities, then you awaken at a much higher degree. Because now you become aware that what people always think as physical is energy, and what people think as invisible is actually far more visible than you think of. It's that paradox of life. All of life is a paradox. But when you start looking deeper, you will find there is a hidden order in everything. The telepathic communication is an innate ability of your soul. Just like music is, just like sound is, just like light is. And your whole body is tuned into those. So in other words, if you understand that there is no limits to how you can communicate telepathically and also universally through your soul with all and everything, then you understand that infinite possibilities open up. And more than this, you will very quickly be able to read people's intention, you'll be able to read people's mind, you'll be able to read their heart. And that is so important. When we move into the 7th dimensional state, we become angelic again. We merge with the angels and the archangels, and our angelic abilities come to the fore. Now, I know this will shock a lot of you, but it is the truth. Because then you start to operate on that frequency of what one always calls the 7th heaven. You truly step in your mastery in the higher degree, and that's what we're heading for. That's why I advise you to often just switch off your cell phone and the whole electronic devices and go out in nature and then truly listen. Listen with your heart and your soul and all that you are. And then ask that your higher transmitters just be open to a degree that you can handle it. And that is your heart center first of all. Because if your heart is closed, you cannot communicate at soul level. It's impossible. You might have all the psychic abilities, but if your heart is closed, nature doesn't respond to you, because nature is heart-centered, even though it doesn't look like it. The first thing that I do is when I want to communicate with the dolphins, I open my heart and I beam light from my heart directly into theirs. The same with the whales, the same with the elephants, the same with the lions that I have communicated with. And nobody taught me that. It's something that is natural within me. And it's naturally within you. Because every living being will read your intent and will read your heart. And that is why nature also has got guardians and they've got keepers. And in some places that are very sacred, you will not be allowed in until you actually ask permission from the guardians and the keepers to go in there. And then you will see a totally new world unfolding before your very eyes. I have taught my students this. And that means that there are so many multiple dimensional levels of existence that we cannot see and know and actually access when we are in the density of the 3D, because our faculties were closed down, because we lost our deepest soul connections. But once you actually remember who and what you are in truth, there are no impossibilities. There are only possibilities. And that comes in from the heart of love. In truth, you are love. You are nothing else but love. Because divinity is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It is not a distant out there, it's within you. And when you understand that all of life is sacred, then you cannot step into the sacred circles of life without your heart being opened and deeply connected to the very essence of the soul. Because your soul is directly connected to your soul group and to all the other aspects of your soul that are not even on this planet. We all come from other galaxies and stars and constellations. And we just adopt this body for a very short time, not even an eye wink in eternity. Remember that. The more you connect to your own soul, the more your faculties expand as you remember the truth of who and what you are in truth. I'm giving a webinar on soul empowerment next Saturday. So if you want to tune in, you're welcome, where I will go deeper into all of this. So sending you so much love, and remember to be quiet and still and go and connect with Mother Earth. She's far greater and bigger than you can ever be, to help you through this whole transition and transfiguration, as the new earth is already fully here. And when you start to open yourself, you will see and you will feel and you will know. That's what life is all about. And I am so inspired because, wow, this is an amazing life. It's opened for all of us. Let us embrace life and life more abundantly at soul level, and the infinity which is right within us. May you have a very love-filled, soul-filled, inspiring day. Bye-bye.